A very good afternoon to one and all. We have the guest today, Dr. Yashwant Panwar. So I request Nikhil to introduce Dr. Yashwant Panwar to the audience.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you. Today, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Yashwant Panwar. Dr. Yashwant Panwar is a PhD from IIT Delhi in management of IPR. He also holds degree in MTech in future studies and planning from Devi Ahilya University, Indore, and MSc Physics from MDS University, Ajmer, Rajasthan. Specialized in microelectronics. He is presently scientist F and heading Patent Facility Center of Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council, TIFSC. He has been working for more than 23 years for PFC in different capacities. PFC has been facilitating filing of patent application on behalf of academic institutions and government R&D institutes, creating awareness about IPR in different parts of the country, providing policy input to government along with the patent information. He has taken as well as conducted number of training and IPR patent searches and other IPR and WTO issues. He has contributed in evolving the important program of DST WSC, popularly known as Kiran IPR, at all stages. TIFSC received Nari Shakti Puraskar 2015 for this program. Thank you, sir. Welcome you all, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for nice introduction, and thank you Koteshwarji for the opportunity to speak to learned participants.
We all are fortunate to have you here. So over to you. Thank you.
So kind of you. Thank you. I believe I have seen the program is well designed, and by now everybody must be very familiar with nuances of intellectual property rights. So topic given to me to talk to you is strategy for gaining advantageous position in the global market. So let me share my slides. Give me a moment. Can confirm if slides are visible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's visible. Slides are visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with some kind of philosophy. If we talk about strategies, I think we need to recapitalize what we have learned in last 5 days and try to understand different nuances. So if we look at a bit of history, coal mines were considered raw material to fuel the industrial age. That's, I think, 100-year-old story. But now the economic success is no longer determined by raw material, physical process, machines, money, etc., etc. But this modern knowledge society, everything depends on how we are able to generate knowledge and how our workforce can apply this knowledge successfully for creating new ventures, new products, new processes. Uh, but knowledge becomes a very key, and it passes on from one person to another, one organization to another, one business house to another. Uh, so when it traverses different boundaries, it really requires right kind of a protection. Otherwise, see if one light ray passed from one medium to another, if it's not appropriately reflected, or whatever it is, then it may lose its identity, and it will actually disappear in the universe. So with to develop those kind of uh, understanding, I think we really need to nurture the knowledge by way of protecting it appropriately through tools available to us of intellectual property rights within the country and around the globe. So that's what we need to do. Uh, and then in this modern context, if knowledge is the key element, so where the knowledge is generally generated, and I firmly believe, and I think most of you would agree with me, knowledge is generally evolved in academia. When I talk about academia, may not necessarily be engineering college, maybe not necessarily be university, where those institutions where academic activities takes place, even R&D institutions, academic activity takes place. In industry, also you have a separate cell who does research and do some kind of academic activity. Uh, so knowledge in academia is going to be raw material to fuel the next industry, and mostly we call it industry 4.0, maybe 5.0, or whatever it is. The coming industry will be fueled by industry in place of the coals and uh, materials. Uh, Before we go into evolving and understanding different strategies, I think when we talk about industry and academia, we are supposed to understand the relationship between these two entities, and that is very essential to progress. And I borrowed this slide from one of the director or from WIPO. See, you always have conflicting values. If you are in industry, you have a different values for the same thing. But if you're in academic institutions or university, you have a different value. But at last, the interests are common interests. We all possess common interest. Uh, and what is the common interest is a commercialization of new and useful technologies. Means uh, if we look at this particular portion, which is very common of for commercialization of new technologies, this is common to all, both. Their objective for this goal may be different, to make their technologies available to the public, and the objective of industry would be to make profit out of this commercialization. So objective may be different, but this is the common interest both the entities would have, despite having conflicting values. So if you look at a institution in a university value system, uh, if you look at the value system is in the academic institution, people work with knowledge for only to evolve knowledge, or only for knowledge's sake. But if we go to the industry, it is not for knowledge. For knowledge is not for knowledge's sake. Knowledge is essentially for making profits in industry. So knowledge is useless if it's not contributing to the enhancement of profit of that particular industry, and profit is the motive of the industry. But at the same time, in academia, main motives are research and teaching. Any university or institute, people will teach, people will conduct a research. And what kind of research they will do? they will they get themselves engaged in all kind of research, be it be basic research, be it non-science research, so many things. But if we go to industry, they would be in product development. And in academia, academic freedom is very important. They, professors would like to conduct his day-to-day activities and teaching activities and making themselves available to the work at their will, and they need a lot of freedom. And there are a lot of other aspects of academic freedom. I'll not go into those aspects. In academia, people want to publish as soon as possible and want world to know that this professor or this researcher has done this work. So that is objective here, to reach out to as many as people with their creative work. But here in industry, there are limited public disclosure. You may have a product in a market, but all nitty-gritties with regard to those product, inventions used in that may not be, and how those inventions are achieved may not be part of public disclosure. So confidentiality is a key. So despite having these conflicting values, interests are same. Uh, so let's really see different component of this conflicting values and common interest, bridging the gap together. So that's where, as an important strategy as a country or a state, if we see, we need to blend this university research and this entrepreneurial culture by coming to the common points and understanding of academia and industry. There are a lot. So this we discussed that in academia, research priorities are set by investigators, but in industry it is by the management who set the priority of research. So if we, as a part of our strategy, if we are able to have some matchmaking here, that research priorities are decided by these, so where the research investigators interest matches the interest of research investigator, where he sets a priority, and then management priority, can we do a matchmaking of these two priorities? Definitely we will have better output in terms of IP and the products in the market. Generally, these academic institutes are grant seeking, mostly from the government, and these entity industry would be profit seeking. But in the process of profit seeking, they would like to invest in R&D also in some cases. So can we fulfill this need of a grant seeking as a part of first strategy to coming industry and academia together to build products? So can we industry fulfill this need of a grant seeking of academia from industry for particular research? Then their need is a publication. Yes. There needs a proprietary rights. What happens the moment this publication happens, these proprietary rights are not possible. This is what you have learned in last few lectures, that once you have published novelties, laws, and no proprietary rights can be obtained over that. So that's where coming together and letting each other know each other's need. The publication need can be fulfilled after filing of a patent also. So as a part of an important strategy, I think we should create bridge for these two needs and have appropriate mechanism in our day-to-day functioning. Here patenting revolve around publication, which are they trying to patents, but here patenting will be driven by business decisions. Mean whatever has been invented here in academia, they try to get patent, and that those patent also for the academic purpose, that they have got a patent and patent is published. Not necessarily I'm meaning by driven by publication, but that is what generally happens. And we go and spend a lot of money. We file patent, and most of the people are enthralled that we should have patent in US or Europe, and spend a lot of money without any value for those patents. So those are the issues. But industry will not spend money if they don't see what is going to come back from investing in those patents. So those are very important point. So each type of organization, when they build their own strategy of patenting and protecting around the globe for having their niche share in the global market, then understand.
Yashwant, can you unmute yourself, please?
Oh, wow. I was not able, you were not
No,
hearing
no,
me?
just now. Actually, I was muting all other attendees, so accidentally it was when.
Okay, okay. I thought
No, no,
nothing
no.
was.
You are audible all the time. Just
Okay,
now.
okay, 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 okay. Well, give me a moment. So what happens in academia? The all technology transfer happens at a very early stage. So technology in a nascent stage, they may be at a prototype stage or maybe pre-prototype stage also. So you have a different technology readiness level. The bottom part of readiness level, the technology goes from academia, and need of protecting IP would be different. So basic protection would be a patent, or invention is protected through patent, or maybe some software related to copyright as a part of strategy in this part of the inventing. But when a value this goes to industry and value addition start happening, another kind of IP generated, like it's being sold by a few trade names. If you created an excellent design, look and feel. So IP generation and IP strategy should be at all in all levels and all stages of cycle of this technology commercialization and product realization. So that need to be understood. I would like to refer before go into details. What are the major barriers in collaboration with academia and industry? So those were listed. I think I can skip these theoretical uh, findings. Uh, Okay, so I think in last few days you have learned that this is IP system is a balancing the rights of a public and the private. When I say private rights, means rights of the innovators, and when I say public, it's an uh, business houses, academia, or the applicant of those. So if we take a patent as a case study and the patent as a engine of this balancing model, particularly. So how this patenting start happen? What you do a research on new problems. You do a research on new problem, come up with a technical solution, and technical solution lead to a patent. So patent is utilized by the society. What society gets from this patent? At the first hand, patent is published and they get a invention disclosure. And many a time people don't publish in journals. Uh, Maybe if, but patent would actually tempt them to make necessarily become. I think you may have to mute. But what business house will get from this patenting is a monopoly right. Monopoly right. So what he can do with monopoly right, he can sell or sell the products, make product themselves, or license others to make. and then in the process technology diffusion happens. When technology diffusion happens, it makes profit for all inventor, applicant, and the producers together. So that's the one cycle which is serving the business interests in a balancing model. And if we go other side, disclosure will actually here diffusion of a technology this side, here diffusion of knowledge and technology in different sphere. So when knowledge goes public in academia, it's freely available, and then it increases knowledge tool, and that whole cycle continues, and this balancing model functions very well. But there are some dampening things in these. Why I am taking all these issues with you, and because when you build your IP strategy, you need to really understand what is the process which you should follow, and what are the dampening factors. See, the same balancing model taking as a patent engine. So disclosure happen. So if you disclose less, or if you don't disclose fully, then that decreases patent quality. Quality of patent is decreased. So there has to be a maximum disclosure. So if you fail on this particular aspect, you have an issue here. So these are the factors. These are definite real challenges to have an appropriate disclosure in patent document. And then there is a problem if something goes into public domain which has security risk, let me some wire related, or which things which have dual use in bioterrorism, and that all information will become public knowledge if it is they're part of it, and that may create problem. So if there is a only destructive use, then patent will not be granted. But if there is dual use, then there is a possibility that patentee would get away with citing other use, and that can be used, and that can be a bad factor. So I'm just discussing bad factor. And then patents also in huge volume. Those patents are published, and if you read those claims and try to interpret, complexities are there. So you need advanced tool to understand, and different countries you use different languages, and that's also another factor making it an holistic knowledge tool. So in some part of the world, there are restriction on research exemptions. Like US, you cannot use patented product or as an research tool also if the research is directed towards a commercial research, not an academic research. So there are a lot of issues emerging in those countries. For those are the challenges in this model, are the side of the societal interest or public interest. But business houses or a patentee also faces some problems. There's a lot of backlog in patent offices. Now Indian patent office is becoming very efficient. So now, and then see, this backlog creates problem, but who you are, depend on that you can create your strategy. If you are a startup, your filing and prosecution strategy has to be different. You can take advantage of a startup where you can go for express examination and you can get your patent granted in few months. So that possibility is there. So it's better to know these points, and so you can really execute a right strategy, and you can have early gains in your. Then from monopoly rights, so they can cause holder problems. There's a lot of uncertainty. If you have a Chinese patent, it may be uncertain how you can enforce the patent there. If somebody is infringing, you may not know who is infringing, how to handle that, legal cases. So a lot of uncertainty in enforcement there. Then there are legal issues. Then technical problems, problems of different geography. And then some willful infringement is happening in different territories in different part of the world. How do you handle them? the counterfeit drugs, piracy, every all these happens despite the monopolistic right which you have. Do you have wherewithal to deal with all? So accordingly, you will go and try to protect in different part of the world to see what you can really protect. Registration will not actually get you a protection. Value of IP will not be in just getting IP rights in your name as an applicant, but real value would be in enforcement of your intellectual property rights. Uh, so if no commercialization happens, there's a high IP prosecution cost. So all these, sorry, no commercialization happen, then this diffusion of technology will not happen. If your license fee is very high and you are not able to give license to different part, different companies in different part, and this cost is high, and it actually disable the profit making mechanism of those companies, then these technology will actually not accrue much profit and surplus to any company. Uh, so with these theoretical concept, I just wanted to develop. Uh, so see what this whole IP management and gaining advantages position around global in a global market. It is just a cycle of starting from an idea to a research and invention to a product development and marketing product and making profit. That's a complete cycle which I would refer. So as far as getting idea, it doesn't require much of thinking. Morning to evening, we get thousands of ideas. So what is tricky to really catch hold of a right idea, uh, and that is really challenging, and that's where you have different kind of strategies. So the assessment part of picking up a right idea is very important in whole cycle of technology evolution, and finally selling the products and making available to all. So this assessment process, so understanding of this assessment process will help you build different kind of strategies. So typically, what are the steps in uh, idea to product commercialization or a success of a product? See, there are many rejects at each step of this chain. See, if you have idea, if this idea is just philosophical or some art form, or I think it can be a fiction, it can be anything. So idea can be anything. Uh, so if there's only philosophical art and cannot be converted into product or a new process which has some technical effect, which results into invention, then it will die here in this form and then will not progress further in this chain. But if you have an invention, means you have a new process, you have a product and or a process of making something. If it is not new, then it is killed. If it cannot be used in industry, it will be killed. No inventive step, no protection. It will not graduate, it will remain in invention but will not progress to next level. So if it fulfills and negate all these 3 points, then it will move to next in a as an patentable invention. But if you have a patentable invention, patent is filed, patent is granted, but it doesn't work properly, it has no market, price is too high, then it will not become a valuable invention. So no licensee can, if it, 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 it is negating all these points, then you move to graduate to this next stage of valuable invention. Invention is very valuable, but if you are not able to find licensee, you can't make or manufacture in your company. Development is very expensive. If you hitting these roadblocks, then you will not reach to new product. So I think when you build a strategy, IP strategy or a commercialization strategy, I think at each stage of progression, you should actually examine that you are not hitting these roadblocks to reach it to the next level. And this looks very simple, but when you really do the exercise and work with your real problem, this really help you in build the right kind of strategies. So let's ask some basic questions. See, if we want to really get an advantageous position, be it be domestic or a global market, these three key elements are very essential. Uh, is it new? If your invention is new, it is to be protected by IPR, especially patents. And you already know that you have patents, you have design, you have a trademark, you have a geographical indication, you have plant variety. What is new and under which IPR it can be protected? So in some case, copyright originality may be issue, but for commercialization of technology, when we talk, then other IP would work. So does it work? Those invention works. If your new plant variety, does it work? It's a stable, uniform variety. If it is a machine, does the machine work as it is expected to work? If it is works, then it is a technology, be it be chemical, be it be pharmaceuticals. If it's you invented for some efficacy or some treatment, so it works as per expectation of scientists for which it has been designed. If machine works, if your electronic circuit works, if your sensor works, uh, any device, product or process works as those were supposed to work, then it becomes a technology. And you have patent, you have IPR, you have technology, but if you don't have any market, if you don't have any market, then it will not be a success at that point of time. And to give an example, if you talk about electrical vehicles technology was there long back, but you don't have a charging station. So market is not ready to adopt that technology at a larger scale. You have wonderful invention, you have electric car where a lot of sensors, it works, but there's no market available to electric cars at different places. And then you have to identify where this particular market is. So who wants it? So if we are able to answer these three questions appropriately. So why I'm taking these three questions, when you build your IP strategy, in how many countries I should file, where I should file, why I should file, how much money I should spend, how long I should maintain. If you want to answer those questions, so right from the beginning, you have to start answering few questions and gather data and information to help you at a later stage to take uh, advantage of your IP protection and IP protection strategy. Uh, so there are several questions we will take. So I'll uh, give maybe quarter a minute break to if somebody has a question at this stage or any clarification requires. So I can take one or two question. One question at this stage. If there's no question, then I'll move forward. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So if there are questions to this stage, I'll take one because discussion will keep you awake also. And I'll talk relevant thing and I can better. So if there is no question, I move forward with a few other questions. Yes?
Yes, sir, I think we can move forward
Okay,
there. I think, I think.
okay, thank you. So all you know, the different forms of intellectual properties, I'll not dwell on those. So when we say the assessment process before we build any strategy, see if we go to war, we should know how many soldiers we have, what ammunition we have, what enemy has. So making any strategy, you should have a stock of everything, and who is going to be make us winner. So picking those winning invention, or the right kind of invention, is a key. So identify. They may be false, because sometime you may pick some invention you are emotionally attached and you think that that invention would be a winner, but that can be a failure. But you have to have a systematic assessment for that also. Do away with those inventions that have no hope or success. Many a time, if you adopt this approach, many experts will say, no, no, nothing can be done with this invention. But there are some examples, like VCR patent was just lying as a patent. So Sony just was browsing through patent documentation and saw some moving images can be recorded on magnetic tape, and that patent became VCR and it was sold in a market. Uh, so doing away with uncritical examination. So you just don't do away on apprehensions and general information. So there has to be a thorough work behind deciding to do away with any invention for processing further, for protection and other things. Uh, what kind of resources you have, that is very, very important. So if you are a company and invented something, will you be able to make yourself? So you have to see your resources, how much market need you can fulfill. So accordingly, you will spend money on protecting in different territories. Uh, so those are the information which you should readily have. So if you go to anybody, strategist or anybody, to really help you out in guiding you, then collection of these information will help. If you have those information readily available and transfer or give it to your strategist, they will be able to appropriately guide you. And why these points? Because 2 to 3% of only 2 to 3% of inventions are getting converted around the globe out of what is being patented. That's a global average. In Indian average, it may be 10 to 11% because less number of patenting and more success, maybe 11 to 12% patents are getting commercialized, which are being granted because we are not filing. So we are very, very conservative on these 3 points, 1, 2, and 3. So can we match with the global trend to be more liberal? So this is a matter of strategy. See, if you do away with some of the invention without really having rightly assessing their potential, you lose out. And many of our invention falls into public domain because of this wrong strategy being followed by us. So these assessment activities on all these 3 fronts, maybe IPR related, maybe technology related, or market related. So we discuss few questions. Uh, so we have to ask IP related. Have you seen before? Seen this before means, does it have novelty? So does it have novelty? So if it is novel, it is a subject matter. So when you decide what is your strategy, you just do a simple novelty search and say it's novel. Generally, inventor does this. When it goes to professional, IP professional, they do a very extensive novelty search, and that is repeated again by the patent office. So this is the option to you, not this. This will not help. This will give you initial idea. Then prepare an appropriate patent application file. And then what is your strategy? You want to remain or get patent in your country, or you want to go to international. And if you go international, then you have to keep in mind litigation, legal action, cost involved in the litigation and a legal action. Uh, so you should have understanding of all these components before you really assert into uh, activity of technology evolution, development, and transfer, and really make product available at a large level. So these are the issue with regard to IP. So you cannot handle everything only seeing through IP lens. There are two very important lens you should have, and you should be able to see the world is it likely to work. In last slide we saw in those three answers. So how to assess that? You need to have an expert evaluation that is likely to work or not. Test the model, develop a prototype, do a pilot production, and then full scale production. If it's a success everywhere, so this particular activity will be following IPR related activity. This activity is done by yourself if you yourself intend to make those product and sell into the market. So if you yourself want to do, if you don't want to do, this activity will be done by third party who is seeking license. So you need not to bother about this if you really, but if you engaging third party as a strategy, then problem is you really will have to cooperate with third party in executing all these steps. You have to really cooperate with third party in executing all these steps. So now you reassess your time and money which you have with you, and what you're likely to get from here. But this exercise has to go parallelly. This exercise has to go parallelly. It can be done by professional. These the market research, etc., etc. So this has to go parallelly. You cannot jump into market just like that. So your ability to handle this or do this particular activity in an appropriate manner to achieve success, your IP strategy will also be modified, because both these activities will have lot of impact. How do you proceed, particularly in this segment? And when I'm saying filing of application is major issue, it is not only filing patent application. Which all application you have to file, how you are going to protect through different forms of intellectual property rights. So when I said after these three questions, we can ask ourselves a lot many questions. Uh, See, when we are building our IP strategy, let's say in what stage of development we are, means we are in very nascent stage of development. So our strategy would be to file a provisional specification. Uh, okay, invention is very nascent. We don't have complete data, everything. So we file a provisional specification. Let's say our invention is in advanced stage of a development, and but the product technology development is not at advanced level, then our IP strategy should be very different. Then in that case we may like to wait for the gathering of a complete data, or developing the invention to the fullest extent, and we can go for filing of complete patent specification. And to give an example why this is important, so development stage not only of your invention, but development stage of a technology is also important. And Hitachi company in Japan was a real leader, and they in display devices, all you know that they were leader in display devices, and they were early mover and patent filer in LED technology. So what had happened, the LED technology was not in very developed stage, and they filed all their inventions as very quickly filed their patents. So what happened, by the time the technology really became commercially viable, and so all patents of Hitachi expired because of early filing of those patents to get the priority. And other companies became Samsung, and other companies became leader in that particular area. So the right time of filing. So you have to assess yourself in what stage of development you are, at the same time at what stage the industry uh, in the form in the sorry, one moment. Industry in a particular state of development. So what is the state of legal protection of invention? See, if you want to transfer without any protection, then it's very difficult. So you have to have a legal protection in the form of at least one form of intellectual property rights to really harness benefit out of those your creative work. So is your patent filed in your home country? So when it was filed in your home country? Okay, let's say you filed a patent in your home country today. So what is your next strategy would be? You have two options available for your patents to file in other country. One is after 12 months, you can go into national phase off. And you can go into different countries and file patent claiming priority from your home country. But if you want to buy more time, then you can go to Peace Patent Cooperation Treaty route. But if your creative work is protected through copyright, if you're a song and all, you've written a book, if you written a book, so you have automatically have a global rights on your intellectual property. Uh, so all different situations will force you to devise different strategies. So have you filed patent application abroad? When you have filed, where you have filed. Your patent is granted in home country, your patent granted abroad, or you have been granted patent in all the countries, very many countries and home country, but you are not able to maintain your patent, then this whole exercise is waste. Will not yield you any result. The whole money, efforts, everything which you pumped in will go waste if you're not able to maintain. And if you just maintain it without any profitability, then again it's a problem. So each of these steps, according to the situation, force you to adopt different routes, different strategies. Now, question becomes very important. Who is handling your patent? If your patent professional is handling, the better chance of having right kind of protection. If you have hired in-house patent expert, but if scientists make those efforts, then the quality of patent would be different, and there's no point going further in taking those patent items for patenting in different countries, territories, and for different period, because if poor patents will not yield you any results, any third party will copy. So while answering these questions, you will gather a lot many information. And then see, if you, let's say you have done some invention related to mobile phone and go and protect in China, and you really don't know reliability of patent protection, what kind of patent protection is available to in China, and then the patent is copied, you are not able to sue, you can't do anything. So in that case, when you go patent filing in other countries, uh, your strategy should look at these points also, where you really spending money, and accordingly you are afforded protection by those country or a government of those countries to you. If it is not, then there is no point at all. Who are the potential users? So that is also again, if it's a general public, in different countries, public or like maybe defense use only, So then the very specific user group you have. Okay, if you, let's say you have a technology for uh, cataract removal device. So there's a special group who would be using it, and then you know the volume, and then alternative technologies available. So the identifying potential users will help you in devising, uh, let's say, disease pattern in some countries. If you have come up with let's say drug for malaria, your patent filing strategy, you cannot go and file that patent in US because there's no malaria there. So you have, then you will decide which countries I should go and file patent where the malaria is there. We developed as in a kerosene based synthetic thickener. So that is not used in developed world in paints and oil paints and all those particular thickener. So what we strategy we adopted to protect in different part of the world, we file patent in Malaysia, we file patent in Bangladesh, and we license in these two countries. So to identify your user group helps you. I think this invention was from Atira, Ahmedabad, synthetic thickener. All this was licensed in those countries, and we filed patent in these two. We filed in Pakistan also, but we didn't go for further process that. So you have to really identify right kind of user group uh, to guide your patenting or IP protection strategy. I'm talking about the patent protection, but I'll talk about the strategy of protecting your products through different forms of intellectual property rights also. All depends on financial resources you have for patenting. Let's say patenting in 10 countries would seek a fund of at least 30 lakhs of rupees for just filing and prosecuting. Not maintenance cost is not involved. If you go to China, it's very expensive. So how much money you have, then that is a very strong guiding element for your patenting strategy abroad. And if you want to go on your own to produce and supply in different market, then you have to have these appetite to really absorb shocks. Uh, so all these costs you must consider, not only patenting cost, manufacturing, marketing cost. So if you don't have enough financial resources, going protecting in different part of the world will not. And it is not true to India. See, I remember during my internship in National Institute of Health, US, what we used to do, devise a strategy of protecting particular invention in a different part of the world. So before 2000, when the less number of patents were filed by National Institute of Health, they used to go and file in 20, 25 countries. But once they realize a lot of expenditure is not yielding them back any results, so they became very selective in really protecting in different territories. They say if there's a neglected disease, a vaccine or a medicine or a drug with regard to neglected disease, they were going and file in certain countries. Maybe if you're tuberculosis, they come to India, South Africa, and some countries. May not go for European, Chinese, and Japanese, and they were cost cutting on translation costs. So they generally avoid Chinese patent, Japanese patent where it is avoidable, because that entail a lot of translation cost of documentation at each stage of patent prosecution. So even if such an institute or US institute can really working very hard to save cost on patenting in different part of the world. Uh, so the preparing strategy based on different kind of feedback. So we really have to be very careful before spending money. What other guiding element would be in deciding your patent strategy. Which way commercialization will be chosen? See, own manufacturing. So if you want to manufacture on your own, then you have to see in what volume you can manufacture, how many countries you can supply. If you can, if your appetite to manufacture yourself and you cannot meet the need of India, then there's no question of supplying abroad. Or you can choose specific territories to gain more profit out of that. So based on your expectation, you decide whether you protect in India, you protect in those countries where you want to sell your products in case of your own manufacturing. Here again, very many strategies. See which IP you should use more if you are making and protecting. Can trademark overtake patent cost? Can copyright help you in protecting? So all those issues or technical nitty-gritties has to be judged. Would you like to grant exclusive license to some third party? In that case, your patent strategy can be very different. You file patent in your home country and can leave protecting if you have if you catch hold of licensee very early. They say I have filed patent in India. Now I have 7 month time to file patent in other countries. I'm not going to spend. You take a license. I give a territorial right in these many countries. You can file patent. So you spend money. So licensee can spend the money. So your strategy can be that granting several non-exclusive license. No company would spend money in all the countries or filing patent in 20 countries. So what is possible as a strategy here? You file patent in India as an Indian company or entity. So today you file patent. So what you can do within 12 months, you can file in different countries. So this your non-exclusive license when you go in international market, what you can do, you say one company you identify, you are able to identify in Europe, you say patent filing, granting, patent filing and exploitation right in Europe belongs to this company. In South Africa, you can give license to someone else. So you can give several different licenses in different territories to different people, and those give the responsibility because they will be attracted and they will own the patent there, they will manage, you don't have to bother. So that is a one strategy, and you are very happy with Indian market. But those in those cases you remain the applicant, they or you become a joint applicant, or have an arrangement where they can become a co-applicant along with you, or you can fully sell in different territories. They become non-exclusive. uh, then there's a co-exclusive licenses. You can sell your patent to different people in different part of the world. You file and sell. So that another strategy which you can follow based on which way you want to choose commercialization. Answer, if you are able to find these answer to these questions, how big or small to begin with, you want to go a large scale, what is your capacity, then again your decision, it influence your decision. Cost of the new product in the market. So then accordingly you would decide which all countries you should go, which all countries. If a very costly product, there's no point going in protecting in Bangladesh or Bhutan or Sri Lanka. You will not have a market, and by the time it becomes less expensive and market is ready for you, your patent is already expired in those territory. So spending money on those kind of patenting will be having no use, and you will be a net loser in those cases. And this kind of market assessment are always important. Here's very key point: who are the competitor? Look at competitors' patent. Accordingly, you build a mess around those patents. So something, so I think not only patenting strategy, your inventing strategy also has to change. So your inventing strategy and patenting strategy should, or IP protection strategy should go hand in hand by looking at competitors' progression in protection of IP, commercialization, or production. So those comparative analysis has to be on your table before finalizing the strategy. If you can't do yourself, let's say if you can't do yourself, you have these options available to you. You can entrust these responsibility to commercial broker, like you have IP venture in Bangalore. You sell your patents to them, and they will do rest of the things. They will pay you lump sum money. There are many agencies who works as commercial brokers, like any other property. If you want to sell your house, you may not be able to find customers. So what you go? You go to broker or a property dealer. So here also, I think you can entrust this responsibility. But this species is not in many, very few people are available of this nature. So you can save your energy, and based on their feedback, you can devise your IP protection and commercialization strategy. And always starting point. So you call it a strategy or a thumb rule. You always, by law as well as by practice, first you protect in your home country. So that should be your first strategy before looking into other options and scaling up for other countries or exporting products. So that's the first thing, or first element you can look. You can get ideas from these activities to move into next level. All these professional agencies you can engage. So this will have a little impact on IP. Again, understanding all this have technical nature, legal and indicative, and the language used in patent document. So if you are habitual to read this and understand your IP, because there's different territories, different format and different ways of rightly protecting inventions. So that understanding of this will help you to execute your patenting strategy in different countries. So I think we have already gone through this. So I'll just try to quickly skip. These are the steps you should take to complete the cycle. But let's say this, what is the dynamic relationship between the IPR activity? See, all IP activities are in a fixed around the globe. So this graph is based on an average. So you file patent in your home country. You file patent in your home country within, okay, so within 12, after filing a home country, within 12 months, you go and file in other countries. Okay. If you adopt a PCT route, if you adopt a PCT filing, okay, within 12 months, if you adopt this PCT route, then you can go in the international filing in 30 months. So you can anytime from international filing to 31 month in few countries, you can go and file patent in any country claiming the same priority which you have here. Same date. So you get this 31 months time to reach is to international or a multinational filing, which I say. This is the stage. Okay, then this stage in IP activity, everything will be processed in different patent offices of the world, and grant would at average time from, let's say, during 3 years to 4 years, or in some cases it can stretch to 5 years, grant will happen, and then you have to maintain the patent for 20 years. So this is a month. But if you look at the commercialization cycle, so if ideal commercialization cycle, that within 12 months you build a prototype, within 18 months you have field testing, semi-commercialization, commercialization. So this is an ideal cycle. If you can, at the time of a grant, you have complete commercialization. This is ideal cycle, but this doesn't happen. Generally what happens is this: people don't bother till international, if you spend money in international filing and all. So then these things happen, and then commercialization is delayed by some indefinite period. So that's a general trend like this, or your progression will be like this. It's all depends on your different strategy and how you are able to execute those strategies. But ideal strategy would be this: you process this patent filing in this, and parallelly you should execute your commercialization plan. It's not only dependent on you, there are other variables and factors affect this cycle. That's why different cycles are there. So when we say strategy, first of all, we need to formulate strategy. And this strategy would be case to case basis. And formulating one will not help. You really have to implement that strategy. So you have to execute each and every steps of those strategy which you have formulated. And all those would be case specific. So all those would be case specific. Then you have to integrate those strategies with your organizational strategy. See, I am a public funded institution. My objective is not to do production. My mandate is to do research. My mandate is to do assessment. So all these our IP activity, we have to integrate with our organizational strategy. So either we enhance the scope of organizational output or organizational function, or we restrict our activity and outsource other activity or offload other activities with regard to IP, along with a compensation or exchange or whatever we feel. Then if we are not doing ourselves, then identify technology development partners. Then to negotiate with them how IP generated during the technology development will be shared. Will we have a right and ownership over that? Would we like to have ownership on development or not? Will the partner agree to those stipulation which we are putting? So the whole situation which will emerge will actually tell you to choose different path on your IP strategy. Financing partner. Then when you go and negotiate, what you can do, you can have a joint technology development programs, but it's always essential to build the right kind of documentation and agreements to before getting enter into this. And I think you should incorporate all those clauses which are by which you are expected in your IP strategy. So you have to keep in mind those points and incorporated all those stipulations in this joint development agreement, be it be general licensing agreement. I think outcome or deliverables which are envisioned here to be incorporated here, and we should be able to achieve those things in any situation, be it be granting license, the joint venture agreement, franchising. I think we can deal our intellectual property rights. Like if you, let's say franchising McDonald, if somebody uses McDonald trademark in this franchising, they have to adhere to some qualities. So there are certain objective of popularizing or enforcing McDonald as a intellectual property rights. So there is, they have created an inbuilt clauses and conditions in those franchising agreement that IP remain unaffected, and it doesn't become generic or fall into public domain without the knowledge or agreement of the IP owner in that particular case. And then these things you really have to slog and struggle hard, and nothing happens and somebody infringes. Your IP strategy should have these components also, because if you don't have these components, see, I being a government institution, some government institute copied illegally, I say I will not sue the government office. So maybe we'll go and talk to them, or it's the same government, so hardly matters. So that's where your formulation of strategy is very important. So then if you have formulated the right strategy, the execution stage, you will have to just choose few paths. When we say exclusive, non-exclusive, or IP license, so IPR has different nature. So when we say patent is territorial in nature, when I say copyright is around available with one stroke in all the member countries of Berne Convention. All other IP are territorial in nature, but trademark goes international also in some cases. If you have Mercedes-Benz, BMW, whether you register it or not, it is famous around the globe. But so by general law, it is, the protection is available to such well-known marks. So they crosses the boundary, still being a territorial nature. So the nature of IP to be understood before uh, understanding. So what you can do, you can actually use, how you can use these nature in bringing exclusivity. Let's say you have a patent in India, you have patent in US, you have patent in Germany, you have patent in Japan. Okay, now you can decide for manufacture, you can give license to, let's say manufacturing is possible only in India, or let's say only in Germany. So if you are giving exclusivity in Germany, the licensee will have global exclusivity because it cannot be manufactured outside that due to various reason, cost, availability, machinery, very many factor, labor, raw material, whatever you call it. Let's say, okay, so territorial exclusivity you can give. For manufacturing, you can separate. You can give license to sell. Let's say you have patent in South Africa, Malaysia and all. So you can give different companies to sell the product in different countries. So you can divide this territorial right into manufacturing rights and the sales rights. And you can give exclusive license to different people to maximize your revenue generation through different routes. So sales happens in, so somebody manufacturing in Germany, you are manufacturing in India, selling right you are giving to different people, so you're getting royalty from them. Then period, you can bring in exclusivity based on time periods. Let's say I am not able to evaluate my patent, what is the real value of my patent, so I license my technology to some company for 3 years. So after 3 years comes back to me. There are some stances where few companies take license and they don't work patents. So what happens? They take license to kill your technology and kill you or remove your space in a market. So they will take license from you. They will not do anything. They will put those technology in self. Then you can put time limits. So if you don't commercialize within 3 years, rights automatically come back to me. So those kind of exclusivity based on time you can build in your agreement, and such a strategy you can follow. Beyond life of patent, what can you bring? So if you have additional know-how, let's say trademark is perpetual protection. Uh, okay, perpetual protection for trademark, like the many Xerox when it became general. So can it be trademark will be having overriding effect over patent. So even beyond life of patent, you can strategize to extract revenue from your licensees in a different form at a different volume. So dividing would really help you. Dividing exclusivity based on territory, dividing exclusivity based on periods, and these periods can be arbitrary, based on some logic, based on capacity, or based on interest of your partner. You can bring in different time limits, and targets for each time limit to be adhered to. So that is to be uh, really understood. Then, if it is drug, same drug can be used for human. In same country, you have patent in US for some drug. For human, you can give a license to one company. For animals, those product would be little different, but invention will remain same. So now you see how you protect it. It's required for animal in which country, it required for human in which country. Accordingly, you can build your IP filing strategy as well as IP commercialization strategy. Let's say zeolite enzymes. You have developed some zeolite enzyme. You can give license to one company for this fermentation purposes for those enzymes. You can give license to some detergent company. You can give license to cosmetic company for hair removal. These three different uses for the same patent, you can grant license to these three people, and it will never be in conflict of interest with these three different entity. So how you divide based on application your patent licensing. So if you have knowledge and understanding of these issues, then your strategy would be appropriate. Let's say you have developed a method for effluent treatment. It works for paper industry, it works for sugar industry. Maybe with some minor modification. You license to one company to cater the need of this industry, other to cater the need of this particular industry with a minor modification. So what there would be? There may be a joint patent with the company whom you have licensed for this particular to transforming your invention to be usable in this industry. So now how are you going to progress with joint IP within different part of the world and territory? So what this strategy matrix will cover all these issues together in this. Address everything you have to address. It becomes a complex matrix. And I think in some of the cases you may have to use artificial intelligence to really analyze all these factors, because you don't have tangible value feed into a model. So it may not be always possible to decide by just thinking and mere paper analysis. Now, most of the time, what mistake we make, we just say we file a patent. And I would like to take this real example as a case study. This is a automatic roti making machine. Okay. and it is owned by this group. If you go to website of this company, you will see invention is patented. Okay, and this is the patent number, and now this patent is expired also. Now you have, it is design patent they wrote, but in India we don't say design patent, so design registration. Okay, so one product they have protected through patent, they have protected through industrial design, they have a trademark protection, and there are few machines, if they would have protected this rotimatic, automatic rotimatic, other company has protected this as a trademark, then it will definitely have IC layout design. So some information they don't want to disclose, can be a trade secret. If they are able to make Gujarati thepla or junka bhakri from Maharashtra using this machine, some GI item, GI also can be incorporated. Other trade names like this, whatever you the whole process, you can create catalogs, you can create descriptions, all those will be subject matter of copyright. So I think trying to protect your products through different forms of intellectual property right should be your first strategy. Wherever possible, try to bring in, say, let's say patent is rejected. Patent is rejected for this automatic roti making machine, but if you had a very strong trademark rotimatic, still people will be attracted through this forms of intellectual property rights. But if you go and sell this in other market, this, let's say if you go in English speaking country, roti will not be very, maybe chapati matic or some other names you may be. But if you go and try to register this name, it is a descriptive, it's a descriptive trademark, and it gives an indication of what you are doing. So it may not be registered. So how you will be able to acquire rights on such trademarks which is not registrable? So here, then your IP strategy is to modify this trademark which is not descriptive in nature, or go for another route of popularizing and through that gaining advantage over protection through a well-known trademark. So which route? It's all you have to decide based on feasibility of each of these aspects, and then only. So I think trying to protect through different forms, so to maximize protection and potential of exploitation, I think that is very, very essential. And this is a real example you can go and check. Now it's not only, we always get confused with patents. If you see this logo, you immediately don't remember the actual Apple, and you'll remember Apple phone, then design factor, this up to this iPhone 5, it has very specific design. And now the differentiation of design of external appearance of Apple phone is no longer exist. So they are now, that particular design IP is getting vanished. Though screen, the patent which Samsung and Apple fought was on how the screen is arranged with icons. So that was the design registration and design patent for that. But other design no longer, they are diminishing IP for iPhone, but this logo is gaining. So now, why I have taken this particular example, you must be reading in newspaper now, Apple is going to come up with a car. So car is entirely different invention. Car is built on different patents than mobile phone or the iPhone or iPad or iPhone or these laptops, tablets, which this company brings in. So the the Mac iCar is, the car is entirely different, but they are using this Apple logo, Apple cars. Now they are riding a reputation of these phones and taking advantage of this IP in car manufacturing. Because when you go and buy Apple car, you're assured of a certain quality, you're assured of certain characteristic that the car is going to be different. So this maximizing gain in a different markets through different form of intellectual property rights, cross function of creativity and protected intellectual property rights. That is very, very important. Now, if you see, few people would remember this, his master's voice, but now your Android, everybody he knows this. So they are not able to build like Apple cars. They can also do it. I think this we have already discussed. Now, what are the strategic tools you have to create patent tickets? So if I say what is a patent ticket, you have one invention. Around that invention, you try and with minor modification, major modification, different component improvement, different process improvement, try and build the array of patent around one patent and create a patent ticket. And once you are able to create a patent ticket and somebody is producing product in that area, there are probability of infringing at least one or two patents from your patent ticket uh, would be there. Then you can go and catch hold of those fellows. So that can be a creating patent ticket would be in one strategy as a company or an institute. Then nowadays you have drug patent pools putting all patents together. But if you have, let's say, a washing machine would be covered with thousands of few thousand patents. Now different entities owning different patent and technology features. So now can we create a pool of a patent and license the complete pool all as a technology package to interested people, so that can maximize gain. But it is all depends in which area you are working. Is pool beneficial? uh, are you able to collaborate with many people or companies with a similar mindset or a patentee with a similar mindset to create that particular pool for a very specific objective? uh, uh, Generally, these patent pool, patent ticket, patent rule, and these strategies are actually considered anti-competitive strategies, which is, uh, but somehow are being practiced. But if it's practiced appropriately with the right strategy, this can help. Then patent trolls. There are few companies. This is considered very bad strategy, unethical strategy to say, but people have adopted to this strategy. What people do, go and buy patents from left and right from different organization and make a pool of a lot many patents, and then they will find if somebody is infringing patent, they will go and sue them in different territories. So patent trolling, and they extract money from those. So this another strategy people follow. Now, if in the modern context, if you look at any device or any product that is a now consist of electronic device, you pick your mobile phone, you pick your mouse, if you pick your car, if you pick your fridge, if you pick your gas chula, you name any device, it has electronics inbuilt into it. And when the moment we say ICT technologies, ICT technology works on international standards or a domestic standard. When I say standard, means standard ensures interoperability of one device to another. If I say Bluetooth, if I use Bluetooth 3.0, I'm assured of some speed of a data transfer from one device to another. So that enables, the Bluetooth standard enables of a data transfer from one device to another device without really getting on board to any other network or any physical connection. So those standard. So ICT area technology evolution happens based on these technology standard. But I have a wonderful invention, very potential invention, has lot of advantages over existing technology. But if my patent is not part of those international standard or a domestic national standard, then that patent will never be commercialized. And I had an experience of filing few patent of I don't name the IIT, which had potential to be 3G standard, but they never seen the light of commercialization or a market because those institutes did not negotiate incorporating those technology or a patent as a part of their the standards at standard developing organization. So if you are uh, working on ICT related inventions and trying to protect it through only your IP strategy without looking into standard issues, going to definitely fail, will definitely fail. So the understanding of standard and participating in the standard setting process should be integral part of your IP strategy. And when you go on those platform, how you are going to license those platforms have appropriate mechanism to really uh, facilitate transfer. Though negotiation are uh, inevitable in those circumstances, but those are platforms which need to be used and essentially to be used, without which it's not possible to go into market. So we have to build our choice in IP strategy. We should go open source or we should protect through intellectual property right. Both are profitable. If we look at YouTube model, so open source model, they are making a lot of money without having the protected one. Uh, uh, then the defensive, when we say defensive IP strategies, means we try to publish, be it be patent document. If we don't want to spend money on patenting, make defensive publication at certain platforms which are available. You just make publication. What defensive publications means, nobody else would be able to get patent on those inventions and devices. So that will help you. That will help 10 minutes. That will help you in really uh, other people not taking advantage of your invention and getting patent in their name and stopping you. So these defensive publication will help you out. And offensive, you can go and try to protect with minor inventiveness, minor novelty, and try to build a sieve of patents. License or not to license, it all depends. If we look at this example of vaccines now, so they say they're open for voluntary license also. So which kind of, so whosoever wants to take license, voluntary licenses are available. If you want to keep price high, if you want to take advantage and able to meet the public need at the higher profit, you may not like to license. What kind of license you want to give, exclusive or non-exclusive, territorial or global, uh, or single or in a pool. Let's say ICT patents. If you want to manufacture a mobile phone, Ericsson will not give you a license for 2 patents. They will say take all patent license and give me a royalty, some royalty on that. So I don't want to segregate because I have 8,000 patent. Which one I cannot license one by one. So I license the complete portfolio. I'll not license for India because you will take your mobile phone to other countries. I'll give you a global license for complete portfolio. So whosoever want to venture into mobile manufacturing or ICT component manufacturing, they will give with regard to those component the global license with the complete portfolio with regard to that particular product. So those are choices available to you, and you can create those choices with people. And these are when you build those strategies, I think these basic nature that IP is not a single right, it's a bunch of right governed by different laws in different countries and different norms of ownership. Even ownership norms are very different. Let's say in India, if you are a joint owner, then if I want to license as a joint owner, I have to take permission from my joint owner to give a license. But if you are in a United States, the situation is reverse. Each one of the joint owner is independent to give a license, and if somebody infringes and infringement suit is done, if one applicant does not assignee does not respond, and that would be considered null and void. So all applicant has to come together to face. So different laws and different norms of ownership make situation different. Like if you go and partner with some agency in India, joint ownership strategy would be good without an agreement because you will have absolute right. But if you go to US, then you will have to build in extra agreement in case of joint ownership. So your IP strategy becomes entirely different in that case of joint ownership. I think I have already exceeded. I think I have completed 1 hour 30 minutes.
No, but
So
we lost count on time because it was very interesting. So I too don't want to
I
interrupt.
think what I will do, I will just leave these slides on IP audits with you. These are general steps that need to be done, and then different processes of licensing. What I'll do, I'll leave with most of the uh, crux which I have covered
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
this
Lot of
slide covers, so
information.
I can just browse through, and then the question comes of how you license. So you can have a different strategy of down payment, royalty fees, or a minimum royalty. So there's
Yeah,
different
yeah.
mechanism you can
This,
adopt. I think these
this,
rules I can leave it. I think some, but if
yeah,
already
we covered in the morning.
okay, okay. So who can be partners?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think these are different strategies. I think I should stop here. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, had enough information. I think a lot of information you have given from all the dimensions with respect to all the forms of intellectual property. So in between, I was, reading the messages, all the participants were giving. It was very nice, informative. Mm.
thank
So
you so much.
thank you very much, Dr. Aswanji, and so participant will catch up tomorrow. If you have any question, couple of questions we can take up now. So you're free to ask now. So floor is now open for question.
There's no question on chat box if I see, other
All
than
the
remarks.
compliments. You have got
Uh,
no lot of
Thank you
compliments.
so much.
So anyway, I think
Grateful for their compliments.
you're welcome. So I think we'll wind up for the day. Hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Come on,
Excuse
Nuru.
me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, please give me an example of patent fees.
Patent fees.
Amount royalty.
Patent fee, all information might be available on the patent office website. The
No, if
statutory fee.
yeah, there are different patent fees. The filing fees is 4,000, and then 10,000 for
Request for examination.
examination, and then those prosecution. And if you are a startup or individual, it becomes 1/5.
Sir,
Thank
what is the career about the patent?
What is that?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Sir, I have one question. What is the career about the patent?
Yeah, patent two carriers, distinct three carriers I would say. One carrier would you can become a patent agent by passing patent agent examination, and then you can practice before the patent office. For that, you have to have a science degree and have to create a career. If you don't
Yes.
have a science degree, then the other option would be you can do a patent law, with your law, you can have IP specialization and you can practice in a high court or a Supreme Court. A third option, which is if you are a technologist and you don't want to pass a patent officer exam and you love to analyze technical data and technical information, I think about $300 million market in India for patent searches and patent analytics per se. So you can become a patent analytics expert. And then government institutions and industry, they have IPR cells, so you can get into those IPR cells also. I hope I answered.
Yeah, it was well answered. So I think we will wind up for the day. So thank you, Dr. Yashwantji. Thank you very much for the wonderful session. So participant, have a nice evening ahead, and we will catch up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.